Welcome to You Can't Handle the Truth Movies. My name's James, and tonight I am going to review Superman by James Gunn with a very special guest.
You can't handle the truth.
Would you want me to call you Chris or Superman?
Call me Chris.
So, what was your thoughts on this, Chris?
As you know, I'm not really much of a Superman fan. I don't really,
No, I didn't think that for 1 second.
So I didn't go in with high expectations or anything.
I think you did. I think you did.
I think I might have gone in with really high expectations. Superman must reconcile his alien Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as reporter Clark Kent. As the embodiment of truth, justice, and the human way, he soon finds himself in a world that views these as old-fashioned. Obviously, this is James Gunn's step into the DCU.
I was trying to place this movie in my head because watching this, me and Chris are obviously big Superman fans, and there's always going to be groups of people that like this cut or that cut. There's always going to be differences. But being a comic book movie, it's all about having different renditions and different storylines and doing it a different way. And I've got no issue with that. This, for me, made me feel every emotion ever. When the music kicked in at the beginning, by the way, this is a heavy spoiler talk. When the original music kicked in at the beginning before the film started, I felt it. I was buzzing, ready to see it.
With the original kind of titles as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I also felt really angry. Then I also felt confused. One point I felt a little high and wasn't even sure if I was watching the film I was meant to be watching. My overall view of it is, it was like the Justice League and Superman animation had just been copied and put onto a movie. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but basically they just get on with the story. There's no explanation as to who's who. You're just meant to know who everybody is. And there's a plot which is always more over the top than in a standard Superman movie because it's for kids' cartoon and that. So I was getting the impression this was basically 80% a kids' movie of Superman with some better quality action in it and better quality scenes for the adults. But it was a kids' movie, I think is what I'm trying to say here. On the whole, it was very family friendly.
Other than the part where Lex Luthor shoots the guy in the head, which did upset my children when he's trying to interrogate.
But I'd say like 80%.
Yeah.
Like,
other than like the rest of it, like the Green Lantern knocking the tanks over with the middle finger and stuff like that, my son found hilarious. I personally didn't like it.
I question how much James Gunn thought we can make this movie like every other movie he's made, which is fine. He's doing his thing, and then cover the majority of it up that anybody doesn't like by putting a dog in that everybody finds adorable and just overlooks the rest of the movie. I mean, the person sitting next to me in the cinema and everyone else I could hear coming out the cinema and people on the other seats all laughing their ass off and having a great time. But I don't think this movie is going to last more than a couple of days in people's memories, other than that they had a good laugh. I don't think this Superman movie is really doing a Superman movie much justice on the whole.
I agree. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed watching it. There were some parts of it that I loved. Some really beautiful scenes when the buildings collapse, it's all smoky and dusty, and he like floats up in the middle, and he's in the classic Superman pose and stuff like that. I really love bits like that. But yeah, I had reservations, and I was worried about James Gunn.
It was exactly what you thought you'd get from the trailer, like to the T. I was expecting some surprises to be thrown in, some things not expected to happen. But literally, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen A, B, C to the end of the movie in the trailer. You just don't really realize it until you watch it.
Yeah.
And it's just got a few extended scenes. But where I think he did get it right was with the lightness of the movie, because I won't try and compare to Snyder Cut too much, but there was nowhere near as much darkness and just darkness in the movie. It was much more light. The color palette was good. The CGI and visuals on it were very good.
They were very good.
They were very good. A lot of the action scenes were incredibly good and done better. One example would be, when he's fighting Ultraman, and then they go, "Oh, we're going to kill you," basically. And he goes, "I'd like to see you try." When he said that, I thought, oh, here we go. It's about to start. He's about to Superman now. He's about to show you what he can do. He flies up. He starts spinning him around in the ball. Awesome. Does his laser thing, which, again, all this you've already seen in the trailer. Awesome. Then it's over. like I was like, what? I thought we were just about to see Superman do his thing, like in the original Superman film from the 70s. Obviously, the effects are nowhere near on key, but he's pulling the state lines together. He's chasing rockets. He's doing this. He's doing this. He literally chucked some people around, and all the other action was just him fighting either the Ultraman guy or the engineer, and everybody could just have a go at him. Like he wasn't that super. He just wasn't quite super enough for me.
I think, yeah, they obviously toned his power down,
A lot.
but I think they got the fact is that Superman never hurts people. Like he never wants to kill them. So you've got to remember that when he's fighting all those people,
Your favorite film was Man of Steel. He snaps his neck at the end of the film.
that's why it's my favorite film.
Yeah,
because he had to make a hard decision for once. But this is that whole like he's fighting them all, but also trying not to kill anybody because he's the embodiment of good.
They showed that with the squirrel when he saves the squirrel very unnecessarily. Do we talk about the big kaiju that appears in the middle of the movie with no explanation or?
There's an explanation. They let it out of the box.
No, but literally, it comes out of a box, and then the next scene, there it is. Wow, where did look?
They didn't explain where it came from. They didn't explain how they got it. They didn't explain anything.
They were poking it in the eye. Poor thing.
You do get some idea that they like. It's definitely a comic book superhero movie because he's going through parallel dimensions.
100%.
Lex Luthor's doing that, and he's. I like that.
For a cinema adaptation, this is where I think the biggest problem lies was the story because the cast was good.
Yeah.
They weren't acting well. Some of the scenes they were acting, it was very weird, and I think there's a lot of characters underutilized, like Perry White, Jimmy Olsen's story. What was that?
It was. What do you mean? What was that?
But it was just.
No, it's a throwback to the originals when Jimmy Olsen was for no reason. Like
fine, but there wasn't much screen time with him. Or what I'm talking about is when they meet up at the beginning, they all get together. They're like the crew of three. They all look up together, and you think, oh, there's going to be character development here between them, but there isn't. Perry White ends up getting on a spaceship at the end, and he's just in a cigar. There was no build up of the characters. There was not enough. There wasn't any.
They assume that you just know who they are.
Yeah, well, this is what I was bringing to. The story was the letdown, and because there was a lot of quality things in it, like the action, the actors, and all that, but the story just wasn't good. And the biggest thing everybody goes on about Man of Steel about being a poor film is that they rushed it. Oh, they rushed to catch up with Marvel. Well, they didn't rush this film. They just made the Justice League immediately. It was 3 years into Superman being Superman. There's no prequel. You've got no idea. He's lost his first fight, which should be a big deal, but you don't know why it is. And for the first 75% of the movie, he doesn't seem very super anyway. The Justice League or gang or whatever they are, they're just there. They don't, like they say, Batman and Superman come up. Well, they come up Green Lantern and everything. Hawk Girl, why was Hawk Girl screaming like that?
I see what he's doing with the Justice Gang and look and the comedy and stuff like that. But you didn't need the Green Lantern or Hawk Girl. You did need Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific pretty much upstaged Superman.
Oh, and that point when he was beating them all up with his T-spheres, I was like, yeah, this guy's...
He was better than Superman in the Superman movie.
But even Lois Lane was like, wow. I'm like, she shouldn't be going... Like, you're with Superman. Taking on 10 guys, 30 guys, 40 guys, should be nothing.
I think Lois was the character I liked the most, as in, was the most believable in being the character. David Corenswet was very good as Superman, but again with the bad writing, the bad story, and it wasn't particularly good.
Wasn't the best story.
The story just took it out.
I did like. You might disagree, but I did like Lex Luthor.
I knew he was going to say that because you've been saying that before you'd even seen the movie, and he's going to say it regardless of what.
No, I was worried because Nicholas Hoult was either very good or absolutely terrible.
But this is the thing. On my list of Lex Luthors, you can catch it on our website. He definitely wouldn't be at the top. He definitely wouldn't be at the bottom.
Yeah,
he'd be in the middle, and I think it's a shame because if he had a good storyline, a good character development, any development, it just appears you know who Lex Luthor is, and he's just setting up this battle between two countries. Rather, he doesn't need to do all of that stuff. He just needs to be an evil, manipulative Lex Luthor, like shoot some missiles or do so. It doesn't need to be all politics and the news said that. Just the first film, he shot 2 missiles at the borderline, and he caused chaos. That's all he needs to do. They're trying to make it too intellectual, and it doesn't need to be. So I think Nicholas Hoult wasn't bad, but he could have been a lot better given a different director.
The way he played and the way he spoke and things like that, I thought were very well done. The way he described Superman, when Superman was like, "Oh, it sounds like envy," and he's like, "I'm not stupid. I know what envy is. I know what like, my issue," and I get that, and it all sounded great. But yeah, there was no character development. There was no reason to why he hated him so much, other than it made him
Yeah,
feel jealous. But I was like, that's not enough of a reason for Lex Luthor, like he's way more powerful.
those scenes you just said as well were the scenes where it could have shed some darkness,
Mm.
not just been all like just having it. I'm not talking about making a movie like Batman versus Superman, but just made it a bit more edgy in those scenes. But every single scene was just happiness, like, and that's what he was going. I mean, he must have been going for that.
Yeah, other than the
Comic
guy
book
that got shot in the head,
vibrance. Other than this, yeah,
which
other than that one guy, but like the dog shakes Lex about, they just copying like immediately off. Everyone's gonna say the Hulk doing
the
Loki,
flip thing, yeah.
and it was just so. Lex Luthor shouldn't be that shouldn't be happening to Lex Luthor. That's not the way. That's just slapstick. And I said to you before we went in, with Texture said the only thing I don't want for this movie should be over the top with the silliness.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just too much silliness when he was holding that bloody baby in the proton. What was going on there? What was that?
He didn't want the baby to die.
Yeah, but you know what? But this greens, all this, everything looks so good. Then this baby stuck out like a sore thumb in this
It did.
Minecraft river going into a black hole. I was like, why does it need? We don't need this. And it just needs to be Superman.
This is what we're saying. There are bits of the film that were just truly brilliant. Like to watch some of it, I was in awe how beautiful it was, and then other parts of it were just so bad. Yeah,
It was the
that
story. Because the whole story from start to finish was rubbish. You know, this he just kind of turned up at his dad's, and they were just so overly nice. Let alone to mention the fact now that Bradley Cooper's Jarrell is basically telling him to conquer the planet. Like it was, I saw this from another YouTuber. It was from the plot from Smallville, but that isn't the dynamic between. You've got Superman as the Christ figure, Jarrell is a God figure. And it's about spreading the message of hope, and this was just like, no, we're going to conquer the planet now. I didn't like that at all.
and also if that was the what they wanted to happen, then his cousin that's on would already be doing that because,
Yeah,
as you
but
know,
in the story,
Superwoman
yeah,
was never sent as a baby. Like,
she goes later to look after. Well, if that's what
yeah,
they've kept with. So for Lex Luthor, so intelligent and intellectual in this plot, you know, maybe make a spare Ultraman. Why did he just make one? In all the other interpretations, when he clones him, he always makes several clones. He has all these renditions of the clones. This one gets stuck in the black hole. That's it. His defenses are down. You think he'd have what's it called, a redundancy in place, a spare. He's that dumb. Just keep him in storage, keep him on ice. Have two or three spare Ultramen. Why didn't they just keep the music? Look, one of the I'll say about the character development. Every time the music kicked in to a bit where you're meant to feel them, you didn't because you didn't care about any of the characters well, really give that much about them. But that first movie, Lois dies and all that, and he rips his shirt up, and then it's it always makes you think, oh, he's go. And this happened, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Right, I'm finished.
middle of the park Superman film. It had some really good bits. It had some really bad bits. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
I didn't think it was very good, but I kind of agree with what you said. But I didn't think it was very good. I thought the story was really letting it down, and I thought it had a lot of good bits in it that you watch and go, oh, that's cool, but you'd never watch it again because you don't want to see this. Just it doesn't work.
I watched it twice.
Yeah, I know, but you took your family. I would give this a 5.6. New Superman.
I was going to give it a 6.
Yeah. So what's that putting us at? About 7.5.
5.8 is the middle.
5.7 then.
Stop trying to make
Okay,
it lower.
5.8 is fine. Yeah, that's fine.
5.8 is a reasonable score. It's what it deserves.
Yeah, you might enjoy it as watching it in the movies. If you're a Superman fan, you're probably less likely to.
If you're not a Superman fan, you'll probably enjoy it. It's a James Gunn film, so it's a laugh. There's jokes and stuff galore. I wanted to say a lot of angry
Say-
things, but I don't want to now because you've said a lot of them.